Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday to all of you. It was a beautiful July afternoon, a very warm day in Moscow. As I was stepping outside of the hotel where I was staying, right at the front of the entrance of that hotel, I heard a voice that I recognized right away. It was M.Zakharova. As I approached M.Zakharova, we had a wonderful exchange for several minutes. And it was, I would say, an instant connection and an energy exchange in a good way. She took my phone number. The request for the interview has been made. And the same day as she went on her way with someone she was joined by, and I went on for my adventures and exploring more museums in Moscow, I've been contacted by, let's say, her people. That was a year ago, in July. Why that interview has not happened, maybe I should say yet, probably I will explain to you in the near future one day, not today. But why I'm telling you this story that I have never shared with anyone, I kept it for myself, is because yesterday I saw a video in which M.Zakharova was addressing Polish people who were traveling to Russia. Just last year alone, I have spent, as I look at my Instagram account, that is a perfect measure of my travels. And when I apply for visa, it helps me to see when I enter and when I left certain country. I added up all the days, and it looks like in last year, 2024, I spent 55 days in Russia, in Moscow, because I really enjoyed traveling there, being there, meeting great people, seeing the museums, eating good food, and just walking on the streets and embracing the beautiful architecture and the energy of the place. Because I believe that hatred and Russophobia is not going to take us anywhere. And because I know that every country has a history and there is no perfect relationship between two countries, not that I recall. If you know any, please let me know. So the question now is, what do we believe in? Are we all the same? How humanity can unite in spite of all the politics and the divide that has been created, as well as religion, as well as race, etc., etc. Going back to why I have started this video with M.Zakharova. Yesterday, I came across this video that I'm going to play for you right now, in which she is addressing Polish people who were traveling to, Polish citizens who were traveling to Russia last year alone. And I could not stop thinking to myself that perhaps, very much likely, she meant me. Because when I was contacted by her team, of course, they look into my YouTube channel, they look into the videos that I have created and into my Instagram as well. And this is not bragging, but this is being very objective. I have put a lot of effort, energy, and yes, as well as finances of my own to travel to Russia, to create the videos, to show you as much as I could of that country, because I am very aware that most of you will never go there for many reasons. Some of you cannot afford it. Some of you who are watching my videos from there were certain age and you knew that you don't have enough strength, physical strength, to make that trip happen. And you always wanted to see certain places, for example, Hermitage in St. Petersburg or other incredible museums. Fabergé Museum as well, actually my favorite in St. Petersburg. And you were so grateful for my videos and you felt as if you were there with me on a personal tour. So now let me play you this video in which M.Zakharova is addressing the situation with Polish consulates in Russia that have been closed, Russian consulates in Poland that have been closed, and a warning that Polish government has issued that I reported on. About a week ago, I think I created that video. And that warning was about Polish people not to travel to Russia because they might not get help from the Polish consulate anymore. So let me play this video and let's take a listen.
Maria Vladimirovna, good afternoon. We would like to ask about neighbors regarding Latvia and Poland. On July 22nd of this year, the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs addressed its citizens who are on the territory of Russia. They were advised to leave the country. The ministry also reminded Poles holding Russian passports that, on the territory of Russia, they are regarded as citizens of the Russian Federation, with all the ensuing consequences. How does the Russian side assess such unfriendly actions by Warsaw? What a fascinating story this is. Let me address this matter. This decision is motivated by the reduction of Polish consular and diplomatic presence in Russia. It is separately emphasized that Polish citizens who also possess Russian citizenship are, in accordance with Russian legislation, regarded on the territory of Russia exclusively as citizens of the Russian Federation. We would like to note that no restrictions or limitations have ever been imposed by us on Polish citizens staying in our country. We welcome all foreign guests who visit Russia for peaceful purposes and on legal grounds. In 2024 alone, over 12,000 Polish tourists entered our country, while Polish statistics recorded more than 40,000 trips by Polish citizens to Russia. Polish citizens visited our country despite the rampant Russophobia in Poland, the daily aggressive anti-Russian propaganda that has become a national idea they're trying to impose. No, it became a national idea not because it resonated with people, but rather because certain forces are trying to impose it on Poles as their national ideology. And despite all this, including, by the way, the suspension of bilateral aviation and railway connections, who implemented this suspension? Official Warsaw again. Despite the belligerent rhetoric toward Kaliningrad Oblast, the only region where the Russian Federation shares a border with the Republic of Poland. Despite all this, Polish citizens still travel to our country. Apparently, the Polish authorities are displeased by what these Polish citizens witnessed here, which completely contradicted the images portrayed to them on Polish television. In an attempt to stem the flow of objective information about Russia, information that was already reaching them through people who visited, shared their experiences, and returned with overwhelmingly positive impressions, having personally witnessed the hospitality, friendliness, and absence of aggressive phobias. The Polish authorities have now introduced a new mythologized narrative. One wonders who was behind its development. Now, regarding their justifications for all this, the claim about supposedly reduced Polish consular presence there. One might ask, on whose initiative was this done? Let me remind you, it was the Polish side's initiative. Under yet another fabricated, mythologized pretext, serving their momentary political agenda, they closed Russian consulates general in Poznan and Krakow. Accordingly, our side responded in kind, revoking its consent for the operation of Poland's consulates general in St. Petersburg and Kaliningrad. Without much thought for the consequences, the Polish side has essentially set a rake before itself and keeps stepping on it. Perhaps they are waiting for a miracle, but since none is forthcoming, they have decided to take it out on their own citizens.
So that was Maria Zakharova, everyone. Like I said, one day maybe I will tell you the story, how that interview didn't happen yet. But now, let's go to the current events. As everyone knows, the official meeting between Trump and Putin is scheduled for this coming Friday, and that is August 15th. And of course, Zelensky had to respond, or maybe the British monarchy had to respond, or those other demonic creatures who control the actor. So let's play very short, because we cannot take him anymore, and we cannot listen to the sound of his voice and the frequency of that being. But let's just play a little bit, because he's clearly not happy about this meeting. Surprise, surprise.
Дарувати свою землю окупанту українці не будуть. Україна готова до реальних рішень, які можуть дати мир. Будь-які рішення, які проти нас, будь-які рішення, які без України, вони одночасно і рішення проти миру. Вони нічого не дадуть. Це мертві рішення. Вони ніколи не спрацюють. Дарувати.
So clearly this was very short, because I listened to the entire message yesterday, shortly after that meeting was announced. He's upset that he's not going to be part of it, because I don't know if he's going to be part of it. Of course not. This is just Trump and Putin, right? He said he's not going to give away any land. How much saying does he have? What's going on, right? Everyone thought that he will do whatever Trump tells him, or maybe he is controlled by someone else than Trump. Don't you think that would be a good question? So, with this being said, I have another very interesting and very informative and amazingly already translated by the AI. This is the good thing about AI. An interview with Alexander Lukashenko, who is the president of Belarus. And in this interview that he just had, I think yesterday, he's talking about that Zelensky might actually flee, escape Ukraine before that meeting between Trump and Putin in Alaska will take place. So let's take a listen to this interview. It's very informative. It also talks about the Baltic states, what might be the reaction and how things might go from this moment on, and a little bit history, and as well his stand on what Russia is doing, what Belarus is doing in this situation with this conflict. Let me take you there. Let's take a listen.
We have never allowed, and I have stated this myself, that today we would go on the offensive against Kyiv or anything like that. Ukrainians don't believe this. The Poles, Lithuanians, Latvians, they're practically in a panic, warning, look, the Suwałki corridor, they'll march on Kaliningrad, cut off the Baltics, seize 3 countries, and so on, NATO countries. If I say something, it means I take responsibility for it. I told you publicly that when we pulled back the troops, that was my order, to move them deeper into the country. We had one goal, to prevent you from accusing us of preparing to cut off the Suwałki corridor, seize the 3 Baltic republics in the first stage, and then Poland. Some Western Europeans and others, even Americans, should stay out of our relations with Russia. An attack on Russia is an attack on Belarus. That's why our relationship is so close. No one can break these ties, especially the chatterboxes from the European Union. When negotiating peace today, we should not proceed from your Simon Hawkish position, from the way you see it. We need to understand that human memory is such, and in this case, perhaps that's a good quality, that it erases everything over time. You will never defeat us, and above all, you will never defeat Russia. To sit down and Germany was destroyed, and those people who were tried at Nuremberg were taken prisoner. It was the victors who judged them. You will never be victors against Russia and Belarus. Never. You might push us and Russia to mobilization. Don't force us to mobilize. That's 150 million people. You don't want them to mobilize. And it could happen that mobilization will take place, not just in the economy, but most importantly, in our minds. If that happens, that's it. Then it won't just smell like war in Ukraine, because we take a long time to get going. A long time. But once we get going, we move fast. We shouldn't let it come to that, which is why I told the Americans when we discussed this topic, guys, let's come to an agreement now. Let's stop putting on a show. Let's do it this way. And you Americans can help push this process forward. Let's make it so that everyone sits down and comes to an agreement, as you say, not just about a ceasefire, but about peace. But I see Volodymyr Zelensky's behavior. I don't know why he does it. I don't believe he's really such a brave hero, you know. He has somewhere to run to. But where will Ukrainians run if we mobilize?
I assume that at some point over the past 3.5 years, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin has asked you to send Belarusian troops to help Russia. Were there such requests?
Never, never. Russia understands perfectly well that if, and we understand it even more, if we openly get involved in this war, we'll have even more problems. We have 1,500 kilometers of border with Ukraine.
With Ukraine, right?
How much do they have? They're fighting over 900 kilometers, another 1,500. Russia understands that it will be difficult for us to hold that border, considering that not only Ukrainians will be fighting against us along those 1,500 kilometers. That would be a reason for even NATO troops to enter Ukraine. The fact is, under the guise of mercenaries, a huge number of people will go there. Germans, French, British, and others, Poles, that's a fact. And we would have to fight along those 1,500 kilometers against actual NATO troops. We understand this perfectly well. And then Russia would have to get involved along those 1,500 kilometers with Belarus. What's the point? After that, there would be strikes. Then no one would bother with drones anymore. They would just pound Belarus with missiles. Thank you for being so concerned about this problem. To be honest, I don't think in this way, because I know the value of Belarus for Russia. This is not Iran, not North Korea, and not Armenia. You might say, well, Armenia is closer. Why? Iran, a specific situation has developed. Russia understood that they were pushing Iran around as much as possible, but in such a way that the two nuclear powers would not clash.
Yeah.
Iran is not worth it for Russia and the United States to clash. No?
And is Belarus worth it?
Very much so. And Ukraine is not worth it for two nuclear powers to collide. I just wanted to finish. Belarus is worth it because that's how it has been historically. Losing Belarus is like losing a part of Russia. Volodymyr Zelensky, knowing that there's such a bear next door as Russia, a sleeping bear, as they say, why would you wake it up? You're not a showman, as you wrote about him with comedians and all that. You've become a politician. And if you haven't matured yet, if you haven't become a real politician, then at least be more careful. Wait, don't rush, don't jump to conclusions, and especially don't take any action. No, he's not my successor. I knew you were going to ask that. No. Go ahead and ask him yourself. You could really offend him with that, you know? But he's not bothered at all. He's an adult. For the past 3 years, ever since he started living consciously and became a student, he's been somewhat oppositional. Although he supports my actions, he understands, he figures things out. He reads and watches all your nasty stuff in English, reads it and draws his own conclusions. I don't hide anything from him.
But you don't really see him in the significant role of
No,
big politics?
no. You know, I would really like for a reasonable, normal person to come after me. I even allow for the possibility that he might pursue a somewhat different policy as long as he doesn't break anything right away. But to do it the way I did, relying on the strong, on what we have, calmly and gradually developing the country so there wouldn't be this kind of revolutionary upheaval. That's what I want. I'm telling you honestly, I was already ready to step down at the previous elections, knowing that people would definitely support me and so on, to step down. But they said, no, we're not ready. And the question was put in such a way that I was well, a traitor that I wanted to run away. So despite that, I had to remain president. I'm speaking sincerely about this. I had to. I have worked and will continue to work with full dedication and fulfill my duties.
But under the new constitution, with the amendments adopted, right? The amendments. You have 2 more terms. Well, this term and 1 more term after that.
Yes, yes.
Do you truly plan to continue serving until the very end?
No, listen, right now I don't have any plans.
So that was Alexander Lukashenko. I just want to say, I'm not sure if you can see me, guys, because from my side, I don't see myself on the screen. So if you just hear my voice, that's okay. That was clearly a summary of the entire long interview. And you could see the source of that interview right on that screen. I will attach the link to this, of course, down below in the description box. But, you know, Lukashenko is one of those people who always says it straight to the point like it is. So no surprise here. Before we end this video, I would like to ask you to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share, and leave the comments. And of course, I want to say thank you to a few people who have donated on my PayPal account. I really appreciate you guys. Godelief, sorry if I mispronounce your name, John, James, and Richard. Thank you so much for your donation. The link to PayPal is also attached down below, as well as to my Patreon account. And I really appreciate everyone who is becoming my Patreon supporter. It helps me a lot to continue with my work. And those of you who have Instagram and you would like to see my travels, especially to Russia, go to AniaK_44. You can scroll all the way down and you see a lot of beautiful places that I was sharing with you guys. And with this being said, thank you for watching, lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. I am really not sure if you can see me, but I don't see myself at this moment. So see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.